It's been 14 years since Roman Abramovich arrived in West London and changed everything at Stamford Bridge. While everyone claimed that the Russian oligarch would quickly get bored and it would all end in tears, it hasn't exactly panned out that way. However, let's take a look at the final game of the 02-03 season when Chelsea beat Liverpool to secure Champions League football, in a game which is now dubbed the £1 billion game. Carlo Cudicini had enjoyed a spectacular 02-03 season, winning the ITV Premiership Goalkeeper of the Season award, which even had the FA trying to have him selected for the international team. The alternative was so scary that they were willing to try anything. However, the following season he was dogged by injuries, forcing Chelsea to stick the hapless Marco Ambrosio between the sticks. Following Jose Mourinho's appointment in 2004, Cudicini was immediately benched for Petr Cech, and pretty much remained there for the next 5 years of his career. He briefly woke from his slumber to move across London to sit on the bench at White Hart Lane for 3 years, before leaving on a free transfer for LA Galaxy in December 2012. He was released a year later at 40 years of age. Mario Melchiot. The perfect example of how unfashionable Chelsea were before a lavish Russian rolled into town is the fact that Mario Melchiot got into their team most weeks for 4 seasons. The cumbersome Dutchman lasted 2 minutes under Mourinho, sold to Birmingham City in the summer 2004, before he departed for Rennes in 2006. He returned to England a year later with Wigan Athletic, where he took in 3 seasons before signing for Qatari side Salal Sports Club on a free transfer in June 2010. After signing for something that sounded like a sports bar, he retired after just 1 season, with his wallet presumably a bit bulkier. William Gallas must have enjoyed living in London, since he spent 12 years of his career in the city. Chelsea fans won't need reminding that he only spent 5 of them at Stamford Bridge though. The former Blues fan favourite had been a fine player for the club, but things ended badly when he refused to sign a new contract in 2006, growing frustrated both with personal terms and having been played out of position at left back. Oh, and not to mention Mourinho stripping him of his lucky number 13 jersey. He left for Arsenal in September 2006 as part of the deal that took Ashley Cole the other way. While the England international soaked up the glory of Stamford Bridge, Gallas left the Emirates after 4 seasons, having won nothing and caused more drama than an episode of Love Island. Showing yet again how little he cared for the fans he left behind, he subsequently spent 3 seasons at White Hart Lane, before seeing out his final days in Australia with Perth Glory. Marcel Desailly was already a legendary figure in football when he moved to Stamford Bridge in 1998. The former AC Milan defender was 35 years old when Abramovich wheeled into town, and so naturally only played 15 league games in Ranieri's final season. He went on to captain Al Jafara to the Qatari League title in 2005, before joining Qatar SC and hanging up the boots in 2006. He's since done charity and media work and put his name forward to coach the Malaysian national side. Oh, and he's probably still laughing about the state of Ron Atkinson's media career. Celestine Babayaro. Lord only knows what Mourinho must have thought when he saw Celestine Babayaro partake in a training session. The hapless Nigerian was quickly shipped out to Newcastle midway through the 04-05 season, where the Geordies were forced to watch his defensive errors and lapses in concentration for the next 4 seasons. He left for LA Galaxy in January 2008, linking up with former Chelsea boss Ruud Gullit. It proved to be a waste of time for all concerned, and he was released 2 months later, having played 45 minutes of a pre-season friendly. After 2 years of desperately searching for anyone to take him in, he finally took the hint and retired in July 2010. Jesper Gronkjaer. Perhaps there should be a shrine dedicated to Jesper Gronkjaer outside Stamford Bridge, because without his goal on the final day of the 02-03 season, there might be no Premier League titles, multiple FA Cups or Champions League glory, and Chelsea fans might have had to put up with the likes of Babayaro for another 5 years. The Danish winger, who bagged the £1 billion goal, spent 1 more season at the club, scoring in the Champions League semi-final against Monaco, but was booted out the door upon Mourinho's arrival, sold to Birmingham City for £2.2 million. He failed to settle, moved to Atletico Madrid in the winter transfer window, and it proved to be the same story there. Once again he tried his luck with another move in the upcoming window, but quickly fell out with Giovanni Trapattoni at Stuttgart and left for Copenhagen at the first opportunity. However, in February 2016 it was announced that the former Chelsea man come out of retirement at the age of 39 to sign with amateur side FC Grace Roderne. I can't pronounce that. Emmanuel Petit. A select few line out for both Arsenal and Chelsea, but Emmanuel Petit is certainly one of them. After a successful 3 years in Highbury, he ended up at Stamford Bridge, sandwiching a failed spell at Barcelona in between. While he didn't win a thing in West London, he made over 69 appearances in his first 2 seasons and was an important member of Claudio Ranieri's side. However, injuries and the arrival of Claude Makélélé saw him marginalised in his final season, making just 7 appearances before he was released in the summer 2004. He subsequently rejected an offer from Bolton Wanderers before hanging up the boots in January 2005 after failing to recover from knee surgery. Frank Lampard. What more is there to be said about Frank Lampard? When he was signed for £11 million in 2001, just a few years after he was verbally attacked at West Ham Q&A for not being better than Scotty Canham, who could have predicted that he would go on to become Chelsea's all-time record goal scorer with 211 strikes? The Blues legend spent 13 seasons at Stamford Bridge, winning everything in sight, before finishing his career off in the MLS with New York City, where he continued to tear defences to pieces. Oh, and there was also that brief, awkward loan spell at Man City, where he of course scored against his former club and immediately didn't have a clue what to do with himself. He's recently been in talks to succeed Michael Appleton as manager at Oxford United. Graeme Le Saux. Graeme Le Saux was something of a cult hero at Stamford Bridge. The left back was in his second spell at the club, having made close to 250 appearances for the Blues in total. This, however, would be his final game. The former England international was part of the deal that took Wayne Bridge from Southampton to Chelsea. He ended up retiring 2 years later, a week after the club were relegated. He's since spent time in the media, working both on television and the radio. And I'm guessing he still isn't a big fan of Robbie Fowler. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. A perennial journeyman, there was one thing Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink could usually guarantee, and that was goals. He spent 4 years at Chelsea and found the back of the net 88 times in 177 games. You might feel hard done by to have been part of Mourinho's 2004 at Hull. His final season did see him produce 18 strikes. He enjoyed a fruitful spell with Middlesbrough, scoring 34 goals in 89 games, albeit one with an outstretched arm, as the club reached the UEFA Cup final. They won't like reminding how that one went for them though. A move to Charlton in 2006 was pretty disastrous. He scored 2 league goals in 25 games as the club were relegated. They've not managed to claw their way back since. He retired in 2008 at the age of 36 after leaving Cardiff City over a financial dispute. Since then he's embarked on a managerial career, first with Royal Antwerp, then with Burton Albion, who he did steer to the League 2 title. When appointed QPR boss in December 2015, he was leaving Burton top of League 1. While he was swept up in the corruption sting allegations of 2016's autumn, the Dutchman managed to keep his job, only to lose it 2 months later due to poor form, with QPR stuck in 17th place. So, big fuss about nothing really. Eidur Gudjohnsen. If you thought Hasselbaink was a journeyman, Eidur Gudjohnsen has probably spent his career living out of hotels. Fancy 5-star hotels, but still. When he signed for Chelsea in 2000, they were his 5th club. After 6 successful years, they were by far and away the longest he ever committed to a football team. The 38-year-old has since lined out for 12 different sides, with 4 of those being in England, 1 being in China, another Norway, until finally his career took him to India in 2016. The man hasn't scored more than 6 league goals in a season since 2005. The well-travelled former Barcelona striker is Iceland's all-time top scorer with 26 goals, and incredibly appeared at last summer's Euro 2016 tournament at the age of 37. I'm guessing Iceland were the only country that would have even considered taking him, and they still managed to beat England. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and make sure you check out Footy Feed for all the latest transfer rumours and news.